Welcome to the Daily Dev Talk with me, Adrian Nantchev, where we explore and share experiences, stories, and lessons 7 days a week from across the games industry, helping you make the best game you can. Stay tuned for today's episode. Good morning, Overload Nation. Welcome to another episode of the Daily Dev Talk, talking to game developers from across the world to bring you experiences, stories, and lessons 7 days a week. Today, I'm joined with Sebastian Nigro from Seabass and Gazelle to talk about his first game, Project Explore. Sebastian, tell us about yourself first, please, and how you got into the games industry.
Well, I've been gaming since I was very young, probably about 4 or 5 with the Sega Genesis. Uh, Played games like Sonic, uh, all your normal kid games. Smash TV was another one I liked. Probably wasn't good for my age, and then I slowly I got into Doom. I remember my father introduced me to a game called Operation Flashpoint, which is where I kind of learned like what a serious, like more of a simulator type game was. And eventually, when I was around 11, my uncle handed me a disc with it was called Game Maker 6, and I had no idea what this was. And I did terrible with it, but over the years I taught myself, and it was a great resource, and that's really what got me into game dev was seeing, oh, I can drag something here and I can click it and I shoot it, and I was it was, I don't know, something sparked with me, and I thought that was really exciting.
Well, that's pretty cool, but you got into Doom at quite a young age.
Yeah,
That's a little odd, isn't it?
yeah, no, I wasn't playing it then. I was only watching him. Yeah,
Ah,
yeah.
I can vaguely remember playing or at least watching some first-person game on a very old, thick laptop in the late 90s or like 1997 or something. Vaguely remember.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
it must have been Doom as well. I just can't remember what game it was, but I vaguely
Half-Life?
remember this. No
Maybe.
idea.
Oh,
Absolutely no
oh,
idea.
okay.
No idea. Probably not. So tell me about your studio then, Seabass and Gazelle. Is it just you, or how many other people are there, and what's the structure?
Um, well, it started as it was Gazelle, my girlfriend and I. Her name's Giselle, so that's where the Gazelle comes from. And we were working together on Project Explore, and I reiterated the game. This is the third time now. The release version is the third, and so it started out her and I, and then it was just me for about 2 years, and then I tried to expand the team, and it was more just contract work with other people I was having join the team. Um, but the overall, I would say, model is just I'll get it done, and if someone can help, I'll invite them on board. But
Hmm.
more or less, it's been just me.
That's cool. That's cool. So then, tell me about the game and what you wanted the player to experience.
Um, well, uh, the game's pretty much it's a survival game. It's something I've actually wanted to play a lot, but I felt like it was never iterated in the fashion I wanted to see it made in. So I mean, I guess for player experience, I really just wanted people to launch a game and go, oh, this is nice, it's calming, there's so much I can do. I haven't seen it all. Um, I like the sense of adventuring, like where you see something new and you get giddy and you're like, oh, I wonder what's after this, or what haven't I seen, or what can I do, what can't I do. So I think that's been the main goal for me.
So it's purely about surviving and exploration.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Cool. That sounds like my kind of game. So tell me, how is it you're going about promoting the game, and what strategies worked and what didn't work so well?
Well, uh, well, originally I went about looking up how other indie devs did it, and I learned about 90% of what you read doesn't actually work. Which is kind of disappointing, but I found a lot of things that do work. Twitter does work if you put the correct hashtags and bots retweet it. Twitter is a amazing tool. Um, you can get 60 to 70 people to look at a single tweet with the correct tags. I also use Twitch TV. I live stream game development. Um, I think if you build up a fan base there and then you do game dev, it can make a huge difference. I know I sold about 100 copies on itch.io when I first released it. Um, and that was all through Twitch streaming, through that promotion.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I can imagine that Twitch is good for getting people to know how games are made
hmm hmm
and watching it live. Some of the people I've spoken to on this show said that they do like a weekly or bi-weekly live feed where they're playing the game.
hmm hmm
I think that's a really cool way of using social media,
Oh yeah,
where the gamers and the audience are,
yeah.
and they can see it firsthand. So I'm curious then, how is it you went about funding the game? What methods worked, and what didn't work so well?
Well, originally there was a Indiegogo campaign that raised about $5, so that didn't work so well. I think nowadays it is really hard to kickstart any game publicly, uh, unless it's a really beautiful AAA looking 3D game. Although I've been wrong about that a few times. So what I personally did was I was working and paying the bills on my own. I was still kind of stabilizing myself in life, but I picked up a full-time job. I was working about 40 hours a week, and trying to reinvest that into like the artwork. And that's where the contract artist came in. And artists aren't that expensive. I was paying them about 100 a week, which when you're working 40 hours a week, that's not too bad. Um, so that's probably the strongest source of funding. Outside of that, once the game was on Steam, it started paying for itself. Um,
Hmm.
Not funding other people, but enough to keep me on my own, floating and working. Yeah.
Cool. So why do you think that Kickstarter is difficult now?
I think there's been a lot of projects that have just crushed people's hopes that people will fall through on their word. I mean, I remember there was a sword fighting game. I forgot what it was called, but it raised, I think it was $3 million, and then the time came and they go, oh well, we can't actually do it. Sorry everybody, and they just walked off with $3 million. And
Hmm.
Stomping Land was a huge example. They burnt early access too along the way. They raised a ton of money. Then they went on Steam and sold millions in terms of currency, and then they just said, "Oh, we're done," and they walked away. And I think a lot of people just lost the trust in developers to actually stick to their word. I know even now on Steam, I get tons of people that are like, "Oh, you lied. There's no multiplayer." I'm like, "I know it's in the works. I'm telling you." But even before you get to something, people don't trust you. You know.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting. So you got to build a report of trust already to even start the
Yeah.
crowdfunding.
Yeah, it's very
Hmm.
difficult.
Interesting. Interesting. I didn't think that would be a problem. I imagined it would be a case of oversaturation, but trust. Interesting.
Yeah, saturation too. That's a very good point as well. Yeah.
Hmm. Okay. So how is it you're getting feedback for the game and getting QA?
Well, the Steam community has been very helpful in putting, like, if there's a bug, they don't always do it in a kind way, but sometimes they'll post, this is stupid, and a picture of the issue. But that's still
Right.
that's still feedback, and it still helps me. I'm like, all right. So just the Steam community mainly. I've had a lot of people add me, and they'll group chat me on Steam with like 3 or 4 other people and just start spamming all these issues they have and suggestions into the chat. Um, there's a lot of really helpful feedback you can get from them though. Reviews are the best though. Particularly the negative reviews are the best. Like a major issue for me is the lack of content, and they really make themselves heard on that.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah,
That's good.
yeah.
That's good. So speaking of content, then, what has been cut from the game and why?
The only major feature that has been cut is there used to be an auto patcher, kind of like you would have with I'm gonna say League of Legends or World of Warcraft, all those games. And the only reason it was cut was because Steam did it better than my own. So
Auto patcher, you say?
yeah, like it would pull the newest version off of a website and download it for you.
Ah, okay, yeah. Yeah. I was always wondering how Steam worked. I thought as long as you update the the .exe file or something, Steam would do it automatically, and then it would give the Steam client and the players the
Yeah.
latest version automatically.
Yeah, it detects if you post a new build. I don't know if you I mean like long as there's like 1 byte changed, I think it is, it'll update. You could change something in a notepad file and it'll update the whole game.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's
All
interesting.
right. Cool. All right. So, what was the biggest thing you learned while working on the game?
Well, I learned how to do AI for the first time. That was difficult, really difficult. Um, I didn't do a very good job with it so far, but I also learned how to do an open world environment that ran well. Day and night cycles, that was really difficult to do. I learned how to do shaders. that was really difficult. Good looking weather and fake 3D as well. I mean, I've learned quite a bit from this project. I'm still learning.
That's pretty cool.
Definitely.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I find the AI sometimes a challenge in itself. Sometimes the deers run away too fast.
Oh
For some
yeah.
reason, the bears keep chasing you. Even it's like, come on, really? This is too far enough now.
Oh yeah.
Far enough now.
Yeah. I'm actually rewriting them like literally as of today. I've started working on it. So, but I know. Yeah, they're
Um,
pretty.
what did you mean by getting a fake 3D? Are we talking parallax here, or we're talking like isometric?
Oh.
Uh, uh,
Uh,
how exactly?
well. So rendering 2D on like a HUD in a 3D world is easy, but rendering 3D in a 2D world is almost like impossible. So I found a group of scripts, and they let you render like if you had a box, for example, you can render a box that appears 3D in a 2D world just because of some math it does, and then it draws it to what's called the vertex batch. And I found some guy
Mm.
who wrote a really cool library of scripts that lets you do this. So it's not actually 3D. There's no actual 3D, but like the walls in the game, if you kind of look at them, but yeah, all the structures in the game, the trees are all 3D. Um, so yeah, that's what I meant by fake 3D.
I thought so. I was curious because I noticed that the characters and the bears and the deers and the eagles are 2D, but the trees and the buildings are 3D.
Yeah,
So that's that perspective view from above.
yeah.
I was just curious what you meant exactly. So, what was the worst thing that happened, and how did you overcome it?
There was a terrible bug that would crash game every 5 to 30 minutes, and the bug was like the source of the bug was consistent. The biggest issue is the bug would not fix itself. I looked through everything. There was no reason for this bug to happen, and people are complaining everywhere. And it lasted for about a month, and I don't know what happened, but at some point it just stopped. It just hasn't shown up since.
Hmm.
So that was my overcoming it. I guess was not not worrying about it at a certain point.
So, frankly, it sounded like you tweaked it else. You tweaked some code elsewhere, and that solved it by chance, or you probably hit it in
Yeah,
general by
I
chance.
might have fixed it by adding something around
Hmm.
there. I can't even say I don't. I work on the game constantly, and code's constantly changing. So if a bug like that comes up, it's usually a pretty massive issue.
Especially if it's a game-breaking bug.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So, oh yeah. So, what was the best? What was the best game dev purchase you made? Whether it was a software license or hardware or equipment, or simply a second monitor, comfortable chair, and a good desk.
Um, Best purchase was a good desk and a good chair. That's always my first priority. While I was working on this game, I had moved from Hawaii to Oregon, and that I mean, I guess itself was a good purchase. I think living in a comfortable environment, a quiet location is really important. Um, Good mouse, good keyboard. Get something ergonomic, good for your wrists. I was getting carpal tunnel at one point between working my job and on the game, and so I think it's really important. Make sure you have like a good mouse pad, wrist support, sit proper, all that good stuff. Um, yeah, yeah.
Oh, brilliant! I can understand that. So, what game development-related book, lecture, or learning resource can you recommend?
Ooh. Um, I can't say I've actually read any books on game dev. I would recommend just looking at other people's like interviews like this or other any podcast really, live streams of game development. I think it's really good to see outside of learning how to program and how to do art. It's important to see what kind of work ethic you're going to need to finish a game, or because it's easy to say I'm going to make something and to completely fall out on the promise. um, so I think seeing other people working like that is really good influence and kind of
Hmm.
teaches you it.
Watching other people.
Yeah, yeah.
Beautiful. So, like an Evernote or Trello, do you have a productivity enhancing software app or extension worth sharing?
Only Trello. Trello is an amazing tool. um, I use that for both public communication of what I'm working on in lifetime and self organization as well.
Okay, cool. That's great to know. So, so Sebastian,
Yeah.
Sebastian, what advice? Sebastian, can you give to aspiring game developers, small indie studios, and people trying to get to where you are today?
I would say set a goal, um, stick to it, and don't let anything step in front of you. Whether that's the excuse is, oh, I'm financially not stable. Well, that's fine. You have free time in your day, I promise. Figure out that stuff first if you need to, but just really stay to yourself in your goals, no matter what gets in your way. Um, whether it's a breakup or whatever the deal is, it's really important that you follow through on your own promises, because if you can't deliver to yourself, you're not going to deliver to other people.
Brilliant. Follow on your own promises.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what is next for you, and what is the best way to contact you?
You mean next for me in terms of game
The
development?
game.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I really want to finish the AI I'm working on, so they're not derpy. And after that, I really want to clean up the just the base code for things, and then I'm gonna do the multiplayer. After that, I really don't know. I'm just probably keep adding content for a while, as I really do like the project and where it's going.
Mm-hmm.
And the best way to contact me would be through my website. There's a contact form at sebastiangazellstudios.com. If not there, you can, if you see me in the Steam community, that's another easy way is add me. Just talk to me through Steam chat. I add literally anyone. So.
Well, that's great to know. So, Sebastian, it appears that we're out of time for this episode of the Daily Dev Talk. It was great talking to you, and it's interesting to know that you say that 90% of what you read online as regards to game development doesn't work.
Yeah.
And yet, and yet at the same time, when you fix a game-breaking bug by chance, that's very useful. Especially when you didn't even try to look for it.
Yeah.
And an ergonomic keyboard, once again, very comfortable, very important. I find that a mouse. I don't say key mouse or something like that. A mouse that is just the right size of the hand is very comfortable. If it's too small, you're really leaning all over. And I find that also when it comes to keyboard, if there's a nice equal distance in separating some parts, like the letters, the F keys, and the numbers, and the numpad on the right, that's very good. If it's all together, you see, it's harder to do it when you're not looking.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
But it was great talking to you, and I wish you well in future endeavors.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Stay tuned, Overload Nation. More videos to come.
Thanks for listening to today's episode of the Daily Dev Talk with me, Adrian Nantchev. If you are a game developer that wants to get your name and game out there, and to share your experiences and stories, or you have feedback or opinions of the show, then contact me at info@gameoverload.co.uk. That's info@gameoverload.co.uk. Stay tuned for tomorrow's episode, more to come.